Everywhere I tread, I leave nothing but dust and darkness. Lord of Time. Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all orientations and sexualities, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And today's review is one very, very interesting. Today's review is The Legend of Ruby Sunday. Now, before I get into this review, I would like to just point out very quickly there will be some very major spoilers, so if you don't want to have a bubble bath about it, let's click off now, click off where you've been warned. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. The Doctor and Ruby come crashing into Unit HQ after their many adventures to recount the strange woman who seems to be following them everywhere they go. The Doctor points out that if she is splintered across all of time and space, then she must be in the modern day, to which a very new character to the cast points out that in fact she is. Lenny Rush's new scientific advisor character. Lenny Rush plays a brilliant character in this. I should just mention he is phenomenal and his acting performance is incredible. Sorry, I'm waffling on here, but Morris, as he's called in this, presses a screen and reveals to the Doctor that in fact there is a woman on the planet currently known as Susan Traid. This begins to spark a nerve in the Doctor as he remembers the fact that he doesn't know what happened to Susan, and her being called Susan and Triad being an acronym for Tardis, the two could be linked, and Susan, his granddaughter, could have come up with this company. To distract himself from the possibility of Susan Triad being Susan, his granddaughter, the Doctor decides instead to investigate the mystery of Ruby Sunday's mother. On December the 24th, 2004, when Ruby is left on Ruby Road on the doorstep of a church, she explains to the people in Unit that she doesn't have any memory or any recollection of her mother, and that the only thing that they ever managed to get was a videotape left behind on Christmas Eve. The Doctor, laughingly and mockingly, remembers the fact that he had banned Unit from using a time window in which would help them recreate the events that took place. Kate gets very angry with the Doctor, saying that you forbid us from using such technology, and the Doctor laughingly remarks, "Do you have it though?" And the group head to the lower level to enter the base. In doing so, when they eventually get there, they begin to come across a problem. The hologram works perfectly, but a mysterious figure begins to lurk over them, suddenly changing and manipulating the program as if the program itself is alive. But before all of this, the Doctor and Ruby try to get a clear image of her mother's face, but for some reason her mother's face is cloaked and can't be seen on the hologram, no matter how close they get. After Ruby's mum leaves and the Doctor leaves in the projection of all the events that took place that night, it suddenly becomes clear that history is becoming distorted, and one timeline and another are starting to intermerge. The Doctor begins to remember the events differently each time, but suddenly begins to get a chilling sensation when a mysterious fog appears over the Tardis and recreates a being of immense energy. As they go to look and ask what's happened to one of the unit soldiers, the unit soldier seems to have been killed in the process of this creature emerging, and so all that is left behind is a sand carcass on the lying unit floor. The Doctor and Ruby escape the room as quickly as possible, but soon the Doctor begins to worry that whatever is coming for him, whyever Ruby's mother was pointing at him, has something to do with him and the TARDIS, something to do with the danger that could potentially be in store for who he believes to be his granddaughter. The Doctor eventually manages to get close enough to Susan Traid to try introducing himself. In doing so, he realizes that Susan Traid has no clue or knowledge of who he is or why he's there. But soon it becomes apparent that she does in fact remember the nightmares, or the supposed nightmares, of her previous incarnations in multiple different forms, in multiple different places. As soon as the Doctor mentions the ambulance, the painting, the mother of Fine Time, it all begins to click into place. Even the technician on a space station begins to open up a side of Susan Traid we haven't seen before. It all of a sudden maybe implies that there's a twist. Elsewhere back at Unit HQ, the Kate and Ruby begin to analyze the TARDIS and soon begin to realize that the presence that was inside of the simulation room somehow seems to have an immersive effect over the TARDIS, as if it is cloaked or as if it has the power to manifest itself there and not there at the same time. Harriet, who we are introduced to in the beginning of the episode, soon begins to act very strange and mysterious around the group, as if she has been programmed by someone to be an infiltrator of Unit HQ. The Doctor all of a sudden yells over the headpiece to Kate Lethbridge-Stewart, asking her exactly what Harriet's last name is, and Kate replies Harbinger. It clicks in the Doctor's head instantly, and he remembers how the gods had warned him that there is always an Harbinger when they are around, and soon the unit team find themselves in the presence of a god way beyond any other. The Trickster's name is dropped, the Toymaker's name is dropped, Maestro's name is dropped, and many other beings of the god pantheon, and soon it becomes apparent that the one who waits is finally here. Yes, indeed, the one who waits is none other than Sutekh the Destroyer. Now, to most of you, that name might not mean much or mean anything, but to classic Who fans, yes, it is. It is Sutekh the Destroyer from the Fourth Doctor story, The Pyramids of Mars. Now, Sutekh is a phenomenal god, so it doesn't surprise me that he is part of the Pantheon, especially as when we learn about him in Classic Who, he has the power to destroy the Earth completely, and this is why the Doctor mentions previously in the episode The Devil's Cord about the world being destroyed by these gods, because time is in flux. And this, as I've previously pointed out, isn't the first time it's happened, because the Fourth Doctor points this out to Sarah Jane when she says that the time she lives in can't be changed or altered by Sutekh. The Doctor points out this isn't exactly true, because it can happen and it will happen. So other than the fact that Sutekh is a destroyer and that Sutekh can lay waste and leave things in dust and darkness, what can I tell you about Sutekh the Destroyer? Well, from my remembering of Sutekh as a character, he was an Egyptian god, and the Doctor asks him about his origins and what happened, and it is very clearly addressed in the Pyramids of Mars that Sutekh's followers basically kind of rose up against him and imprisoned him in the pyramid on Mars. And in the pyramid of Mars, he attempts to reimburse his body into our plane of existence, which kind of really well ties in with the fact of the Toymaker recently coming back into existence when the 14th Doctor lays the salt. And I feel like this is exactly what's happened here, and it seems like all the Pantheon have been locked away in this alternate universe so far, and now the barriers are breaking down and they can re-exist in our realm. The Beast was also name dropped earlier. That's another name I forgot to bring up. But yeah. So in the comments below, just let me know, what you think is gonna happen next. I mean, we now know that Susan Traid is indeed behind the Mirage, is Sutekh the Destroyer. Do you think the Doctor and Ruby will survive, or do you think that all of creation will come to Sutekh's reign? Let's find out. But what did I think of the Legend of Ruby Sunday? Well, as a two-sided coin of a story, I thought it was amazing. And of all the classic villains you could bring back, Sutekh the Destroyer is a phenomenal choice. And for that reason, I'll give the Legend of Ruby Sunday a 10 out of 10. Thank you, ladies and gents, for watching, and we will see you in the next Doctor Who review. Until then, stay beautiful, keep loving, spread the love, my friends. Goodbye.